Frozen shoulder. Anyone can get it, but if you're between the ages of 40 and 60, if you're female, if you've had a surgery to or an injury to your shoulder where it has to be strapped, if you have diabetes, Parkinson's, heart disease, thyroid issues, then you are more prone to frozen shoulder than the others. That stiffness and pain in your shoulder that starts slowly and worsens over time takes typically anywhere between 1 and 3 years to heal. In the meantime, it takes away your functional ability to do things. Now for me, I noticed a tightness in my bicep and strain in my forearm when I was doing child pose. That's when I first noticed it, and that was about the 3rd week in November. By the 1st of January, I could not move my shoulder without pain, and my mobility was disappearing. By mid-January, I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't reach for something without driving pains like a stab down my arms. I couldn't hold my coffee cup without my hand trembling. I was getting tingling down to the end of my fingertips. I couldn't sleep. I was hunched over. I couldn't sit up straight. Everything hurt. It was painful. So I knew by the 3rd week in January that I had to do something. Even in the middle of COVID, when we were still isolating, I called a massage therapist and made an appointment for the 1st week in February. Now, I thought it was bicep tendonitis. According to her, it was frozen shoulder, and it was that was causing the bicep tendonitis. So stick around, and I will tell you more about what frozen shoulder is, what you can do about it, and stick around for the end, and I'll share my story, where I am, and how I got there. I'll be right back. My name is Deb Day, and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't clicked subscribe, please do that and click the notification bell so that you know when my next video comes out. And if you have ever had frozen shoulder or think you're going through it now, please drop me a comment. I would love to hear your story. Okay, so along with stiffness and pain, there is also inflammation that goes in and around your shoulder joint, and that causes your immobility because the joint becomes thicker and tighter. Because it's so painful, you yourself will limit your own movements, and that will only add to the stiffness. Now, in severe cases, the stiffness can become so great that you can't move your shoulder at all. In all of the research that I did, there was one thing that was abundantly clear. The only way you can diagnose this is to have a physical examination. So if you think this is happening to you, make your appointment today. All right, so what causes a frozen shoulder? Well, there's a lot of people will say it's really unclear, but here's what they know. That if you go through long periods of inactivity with your shoulder, like you would for surgery or injury, where you are strapped up and you have to keep it immobile so it has a chance to heal, that can lead to a frozen shoulder. If a person is susceptible to inflammation due to a weakened immune system, that can be problematic. And also, if you are going through prolonged periods of stress where you are carrying that all in your shoulders in tightness, well, that stress can lead to inflammation, and that can also help to tighten it up. So now let's look at the treatment. Physical treatment like massage, chiropractic, or a physiotherapist can help you, because the one thing that we do know is that you have to get moving. Mobility is key to your recovery. Medications such as painkillers and anti-inflammatory tablets or creams, or in severe cases even a steroid injection, will help you with the inflammation and the pain, but it won't get to the root cause. So there are 3 stages to a frozen shoulder, and the first stage is the freezing stage. This is where pain and stiffness is slowly increasing, getting worse at night, and this stage lasts about 6 weeks to 9 months. The second stage is the frozen stage. Now, the pain may lessen, but the stiffness remains, making it more difficult to complete daily tasks and action, and this stage normally lasts from about 2 to 6 months. And the third stage is the thawing or the recovery stage. Now, your pain lessens and your mobility gradually increases. And near or full recovery comes when you've got your mobility back and your normal strength starts to return. And this phase lasts about 6 months to 2 years. Seems like such a long time, doesn't it? So let's talk about my story for a moment. I had significant loss of muscle, and it was visible in my shoulder and down into my arm. I went to a massage therapist progressively at first, and then we gradually stretched out the appointments. And she gave me exercises and mobility things to do at home, which I religiously did. She also gave me some trigger point therapy and charts to show where I could do my own home exercises. She knew when it was time for me to go to a chiropractor. And again, whatever exercises he gave me, I did them religiously. Now, I also found a few YouTube channels that chiropractors had with some exercises for frozen shoulder. I used ice and heat. I strapped the back of my shoulders with KT tape to try and pull my shoulders back and down. I also started taking a very high-grade marine collagen to help with that joint and fascia health. And if you want more information on that, go to the description below and find my email address, connect with me, and we can chat about what that is and how it might serve you. Now, at 4 months from the time that my treatment started, I would have to say that 90% of my mobility was back. My strength wasn't, but my mobility was. I was able to do functional things around the house without pain. Now, my massage therapist says I am the queen of self-care. And my chiropractor, when I first saw him, he said, normally I would tell people that it would take 12 months at least before you could recover from frozen shoulder. He said, but I don't think it's even going to take you that long. So my advice is simple. Stretch regularly. And if you start to sense where there is pain or restriction in mobility in your shoulder anywhere, then please see somebody immediately. Make the call. The worst you're going to have is a massage. Or you get a checkup with your chiropractor. But if it is frozen shoulder, you will be so glad that you made the call and caught it early. Self-care is extremely important. After all, our goal is to be the healthiest version of ourselves possible and to live one kick-ass life. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.